and thank you for tuning into Nizzy Sports Chat. I'm your host, Nizzy, and in this video, you guys are going to be breaking down last night's matchup between the Raptors and the Celtics, where the Raptors were able to hang on just by a thread, you guys, in the overtime period there by a final score of 115 to 112. What a battle it was last night, you guys. Obviously, Boston pretty much had their entire starting lineup out, but not a big deal. They had their starting rotation replaced with the referees in last night's game. It was basically a battle of the Raptors versus the Boston Celtics, as well as the refs last night. You guys, absolutely atrocious refereeing job by the NBA refs in last night's game. Pretty much tried giving this one to the Celtics here. Thankfully the Raptors held on there. Karma stayed on our side in this one, you guys. We were able to hang on for the 3-point Vic in overtime. Talk about a frustrating finish to the game, though, you guys. Like, with the referees just not calling any calls. Pascal just getting absolutely thrashed in the paint, hardly getting any calls on him. He ends up fouling out of the game on a bunch of fucking bullshit calls from the refs. So this was just a tough matchup all around, you guys. I knew this was going to be a slugfest from the beginning. In my game preview yesterday, I did not think that they were going to have their entire starting lineup sitting out, though. Obviously we would have liked to see the Raptors kind of run away with this one early. Obviously the Celtics had a good game plan coming in here. Slowed down the Raptors quite early in this game. Fred VanVleet's still not looking right out there. He didn't really perform that well in last night's matchup. Obviously Gary Trent Jr. in his first action back in a few games had a bit of a rough outing as well. But Siakam, man, carried the torch for us in last night's win, you guys, with his 40-point performance. Absolutely outstanding. The dude's been on an absolute tear, averaging 27 points a game in the month of March. Playing at an all-NBA level for sure. Have no doubt this guy should be a first or second team all-NBA player when the season's over, in my opinion, you guys. But nonetheless, you guys, before we start breaking down this performance from last night, if you can go ahead and like this video if you like sporting content like this. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're looking for more sporting content like this in the near future. I've been getting a lot of support on the channel lately, you guys, and I greatly appreciate it. We're going to keep coming out with as much content as possible for you guys. But without further ado, man, let's go ahead and start breaking down this 115 to 112 overtime victory for the Raptors last night, you guys, improving the record to 43-32 on the season. Celtics dropped to 47-29. I believe they fall back into the second or third seed now. They were in the first seed there for a day or so. Raptors are still sitting tight in that sixth seed. I believe we are tied now with the Chicago Bulls. They're in the fifth seed right now, so hopefully they kind of squander down the stretch. I feel like the Raptors got a good opportunity here to get into the top 5 seeds, push the Chicago Bulls down into the 6th or 7th seed there, along with the Cavs. And I think the Raptors are going to be set up quite nicely here for a good playoff run, you guys. We'll have to see what happens. Let's go ahead and start breaking down some of the team stats from last night's game, you guys. Raptors ended up shooting 43% from the field as a unit last night, 46 of 106 from the field, 41% for the Celtics. They shot 39 of 94. So it's huge for us being able to get those extra shots up, obviously. 3-point shot was not looking good for the Raptors last night. Shot 25% as a unit from the 3-point land, 10 of 39 from the field there. They didn't do much better than us. They only shot 30% as a unit, 12 of 40. So really wasn't a great shooting night for either squad. Obviously, the Celtics were coming off a back-to-back. And it was just one of those shitty shooting nights for the Raptors squad, even though we had most of our guys out there. Obviously, Kem Birch was a no-go. And Malachi Flynn is still out with that hamstring injury. But you had all your main dogs here for the Raptors anyways. Like I said, it was just one of those evenings. Just wasn't a hot shooting night for the Raps. Same thing from the line, too. Only shot 72% from the free throw line. 13 of 18 for the Raptors. Got to do a little bit better job at that. Obviously, if you close out a few more of those free throws, we would not even ended up going into the overtime period. And then over on the Celtics side, they shot 78% from the line, 22 of 28. A little bit of a discrepancy there. Like I said, the refs were definitely on their side last night, giving them 10 more free throws. And it's not like we weren't getting fouled. Pascal gets fouled so often in his matchups down low in the post there, and they never call those fucking fouls on the guy. He does not get the all-star treatment like some of these other superstars in the league. It's crazy to me because he's easily a top 10, top 15 player in the league, in my opinion. The dude's an absolute beast, playing some of the best basketball of his career right now, in my opinion, you guys. And he deserves a little more respect from these referees, in my opinion. I just can't believe some of these no calls that go against Pascal, and then same thing, getting him into foul trouble when he's not even fouling guys. He's getting offensive fouls called on him when he's getting hacked in the paint. I mean, just atrocious refereeing job last night, you guys. Thank God the Raptors were able to hang on for the victory and stick it to the refs here, even though they're obviously wearing the Celtics jerseys underneath the referee and shirts there, clearly from what we could see in last night's matchup. So glad the Raptors hang on for that one, you guys. Got out rebounded by the Celtics in this one too, so really impressive we were able to hang on for the victory. Normally Raptors don't do too well when we lose the rebounding battle. We lost the rebounding battle last night 57-51. We tied them up on the offensive boards with 16 apiece. Did a good job in the turnover battle though. Raptors only turned it over 10 times in the last night's matchup. We're able to turn the Celtics over 17 times. So that was big time for us, as well as the points in the paint were huge. We had 66 points in the paint. Absolutely annihilated them down low in the paint last night. They had 52 points in return in the paint, so dusted them up in that area as well, which was huge for us. Like I said, Pascal with a huge 40-point performance, saving the day for us down the stretch in that game, you guys. Fred VanVleet with another tough one. I mean, it's tough watching this guy right now. He's battling as hard as he can out there, but he's just dealing with so many nagging injury issues right now. I don't think he's ever going to look like the same Freddie from earlier on in the season until next year, after he can get healthy this off season. So we're just going to have to deal with a lower quality Fred VanVleet for the next month or so here, a couple months, depending on how far we make it in the playoffs, you guys. I would like to see him work a little more off ball. I would like to see him maybe get a little less minutes too. I think he had 40 minutes last night. I'm not sure what Nick Nurse was thinking when you got an injured point guard who hasn't even been playing full time for you as of late because of his injury, and you put him out there for 40 minutes. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, especially when Armoni Brooks has been playing pretty well for you. You just signed him to a 2-year deal, and he doesn't get one single minute in last night's game. Really shocked me that Nick Nurse decided to run an 8-man rotation last night, especially since the Celtics had their 4 starters out of the lineup. You think that Nick Nurse would have went a little bit deeper into his bench unit with guys like Armoni Brooks there, maybe getting some minutes. Would like to see Banton maybe get a little bit of time out there. But none of those guys really played. Instead, he relied on his starters to play heavy minutes in this one. Like I said, don't really like that style that he decided to go with there. I feel like that's what maybe cost us, and maybe cost us going into overtime. Obviously, the refs didn't help either. But I just don't understand that, especially with Freddie being injured. Why would we not give Armoni Brooks at least 5 or 10 minutes of game time out there, just to give Fred a little bit of added rest? Obviously, he wouldn't have been in the 40 minutes if we didn't go into OT. But I think if he wouldn't have played as much as he did in the first 48-minute frame, I think we wouldn't have had to go to OT anyways. Like I said, his shot's just not falling right now. He's not playing, outstanding basketball. It's not that he's not trying. It's just the dude's fucking injured, man. He can only give so much right now with that bum knee. So we got to find some other guys who can kind of take the load off of him a little bit, and not, ask so much of Fred VanVleet going down the stretch here. Because if you try and have him run everything, I don't see it going very well for the Raptors. The energy, even out on the floor when he's running the show, is just lower. The guys aren't running with as much juice. So they got to figure something out here to, still have him involved, making an impact on the floor, but maybe not being the main guy carrying the ball up and down the court. And cut those minutes down a little bit as well. I want to see Freddie around that 25 to 30 minute range. That way, when he is on the court, he's fresh and ready to roll, and he's not just kind of, sloving down the court trying to get through it on that bum knee. So we'll have to see what Nick Nurse does with some adjustments there. Nonetheless, got the victory, you guys. Right, real quick before we end this video as well, we'll just go through some of the player stats here. We'll start off with the Celtics, since we haven't talked about them too much. Theis had a decent performance, double-double, 13 points, 10 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks for him. Marcus Smart had a great game. Probably one of the biggest reasons that they were able to stick around in it and, give us a run for our money in last night's matchup. He finished the night with 28 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 block, so he had a phenomenal performance. Naismith pitched in with 13 points. White had 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists for you. Williams gave you 17 and 7. Pritchard off the bench gave you 10 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal. And then you got another 10 points from Hauser. So that's quite a few guys in double digits for them. That's 7 guys they had in double digits there. Pretty nasty in my opinion, especially they had their 4 starters out. So the fact that they had all the role players step up and be able to get into that double-digit scoring was huge for the Celtics to hang around in this one, you guys. Like I said, definitely gave us a run for our money. Pascal carried us home in this one, you guys. Over to the Toronto player stats here. Siakam, 40-point night, 13 rebounds, so he had a nice double-double performance. Chipped in with 1 assist, 3 steals, and 2 blocks, so he was massive on the defensive end as well. 17 and 29 from the field, so very efficient shooting night as well. So you got to love to see how Pascal's been playing lately, you guys. Absolute bona fide all-star, all-NBA caliber player right now. I would say he's a top 5 player in the league at this point in time. In the last month, he's been playing absolutely outstanding. I would say he's a 10 to 15 overall player in the league, but he's playing like a top 5 guy in the league right now with the performances he's been putting down as of late, you guys. So credit to Pascal for carrying the way for the Raptors lately, keeping us in the conversation, getting us into that 6th seed. Gary Trent had a rough shoot night again last night, 4-12 from the field, 12 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and 3 steals. At least he pitched in defensively for us with the 3 steals. His shot will get going here. Obviously, he's dealing with that turf toe injury now as well. First game back after missing a couple with the toe injury. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays down the stretch here. Definitely want to see this guy get into a hot streak come playoff time, man, because if he can get those buckets on a consistent basis like he was before the All-Star break, I think we're going to have a really good chance to upset some people in the playoffs. Because, if Gary Trent goes off for a good stretch, you guys, there's a chance he averages 25 to 30 points a game in the playoffs if he can get on a hot streak. So fingers crossed he gets the ball rolling here. We got 7 games left. It gives him a little bit of time to get a shot back under him. Same with Fred, man. 14 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Shot 4-13, so a rough shooting night from him as well. Combined between him and Gary Trent, he shot 8 of 25, so not very good at all from your two guards, starting guards. But like I said, at least you got 6 steals and a block between the 2 guys. So at least even though these guys aren't producing offensively, they're definitely, making an impact on the defensive side of the ball, which is important, especially when the shot's not falling for you. OG with a solid performance, 14 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, and a steal, shot 6 of 12 from the field. It's been real nice to see him back in the fold here. Obviously, he helps us out from the 3-point line, having a good 3-point shooting stroke. And he's getting a lot better off the ball as well. And just off the dribble, being able to attack the paint and finish around the rim. I feel like OG's really taken another step in that positive direction this season, you guys, so it's great to have him back out on the floor. Scotty Barnes with a rough outing last night, 10 points, 4 boards, and 4 assists. Shot, 5 of 12 from the field, so not a very good shooting night either. Just a rough outing for him. Didn't look like the Scotty Barnes we're used to seeing out there. Might be a little bit fatigued from the long season here. I'm sure he'll bounce back next game, not too worried about him. Same thing with Achua, rough shooting night, 3 of 10 from the field, finished off with 7 points and 8 rebounds. Would like to see him make a little more of an impact in other areas if his shot's not falling. But nonetheless, he's still a young guy. He's going to have the ups and downs of, an 82-game season. So hopefully he bounces back along with Scotty Barnes in the next one. Thad Young, massive game from him. One of the only guys that stepped up alongside Pascal to help us to the victory there. He was huge late in this game. Finished the night off with 12 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. Also shooting 5 and 9, so a nice efficient night for him. Really was one of the huge contributors down the stretch there to help us win that game, along with Pascal. So kudos to Thad Young coming off the bench and making an impact for us. Boucher with a quiet night as well, 6 points and 4 boards, shot 2 of 9 from the field. So overall, just a terrible shooting night for the Raptors. Had a couple guys show up in Siakam and Thad Young. OG played pretty well as well. And our defense carried us obviously as well in this game, you guys. So big win here. Obviously, this was one that we had to battle not only the Celtics, but the refs as well. So good job in beating 2 teams last night in a little 2-on-1 there. Got the huge matchup again tomorrow against the Timberwolves, you guys. Obviously, they're scrapping and clawing, trying to get into the 6th seed out west, fighting with the Denver Nuggets right now. Obviously, we want to be able to hold on to our 6th seed, maybe even advance to the 5 seed there if we can, with a victory over the T-Wolves tomorrow. So it should be a good matchup, you guys. They're a lot better squad this season than seasons past, so it's not going to be an easy game either. It's going to be a very similar game to this Boston game, I think, a close game. Probably be a high-scoring game as well. The T-Wolves aren't great defensively, but they can put the ball in the basket at a high clip. So I think it's going to be another slugfest, man. Hopefully the Raptors can keep it on track here. I think we've won 3 in a row now. Going to be looking for our 4th win in a row coming up against the T-Wolves tomorrow. That pretty well wraps her up for this one, you guys. 115 to 112, the final in overtime for the Raptors. Extend their streak to 3 games in a row here. Staying solid in that 6th seed out in the Eastern Conference. Would love your guys' opinion in the comment section down below, man. How do you think the Raptors fared in last night's game? Do you think the refs tried losing this one for us? I definitely think the refs played a heavy role in us barely being able to scrape by with the victory in this one, you guys. And what do you think our chances are of beating the Timberwolves on Wednesday? I'll probably come out with a game preview of that one coming out tomorrow, you guys, if you want to check that one out on the channel. But other than that, you guys, that wraps it up for this vid. Please go ahead and like this video if you like sporting content like this. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're looking for more sporting content like this in the near future. Thank you guys so much for watching, man. This is Nizzy with Nizzy Sports Channel.